starting us out on defense. Let's see what they want to get rid of, as they will have our first ban.
Going into it, it's going to be Astralis picking the first and final ban here, so we'll see what they choose to knock out first. Oregon is still a fairly open book with regards to which attackers you'd like to take out, although we have fallen into a trend recently in the meta, and actually, that's not going to fall into it necessarily, but it makes perfect sense. Yana has become the quintessential aggressive operator, replacing Ash in a lot of circumstances as well, so it's a comfort pick for so many of these dangerous players, especially on the side of XSET. Astralis is going to remove that comfortability and force players onto a second one, and XSET, okay, I like it. They respond in kind by throwing out a very similar ban in Twitch.
Now this is where Rainbow Six gets fun. Throw everything out the window. Let's get rid of some things that people are comfortable on. Well, Mile be banned next from XSET. That'll partner there with the Twitch ban. Not necessarily speaking, but really that's going to be their pair. As for Astralis, what's going to be our last pick here? It's going to be the Warden. Oh my, this map is going to be crazy.
So much utility
still
still on the
field. I think the big thing that you guys need to know about right now is that Hard Breach is going to be the easiest thing that you've ever seen on Oregon, and past that they have access to every piece of utility that happens to be annoying when you don't have a Warden. And then along with that, you also don't have a Yana to clear out a lot of these hard to reach places. She's super strong on maps like this where there's a lot of info game that comes in. That Gemini and having it obviously off cooldown to where you can clear things out works extremely well.
The unlocked operators, mainly things like Thatcher and whatnot, are certainly going to be a possibility, as Stokes mentioned, but that doesn't necessarily mean that our players are going to pick directly into them. Teams over the past years now have gotten used to playing without these operators, and with the intensity of this matchup, especially for XSET given the circumstances, they may not necessarily feel the need to change up from their usual lineups and bring things like that in. We're going to see that come to fold here in the first round, as they won't feel the necessary need to bring him to the table, but they will switch the Maverick over onto Diaz, removing the, actually never mind, they're going to keep the Lion in play and instead just remove the Hard Breach. In actuality here, Yaga will instead go over towards the Sledge. Kino actually second-guessing his choice here as he was thinking about going back to the Lion, and now instead has gone over towards the Flores as well. Just to have that greater capability to clear out the site utility, especially in the fairly claustrophobic site of the dorms upstairs.
Well, XSET did say they had been scrimming Astralis, or rather on the other foot. They've been scrimming each other for a little while over this last stage, so this might be some identification early on by XSET as to what's going on, because they're going to drop that Hard Breacher pretty fast. It's all just down to Maverick, which means they probably know that there's a hole inside of the Master Closet. That way Astralis can play close with a shotgun. If any Hard Breacher tries to step up into that, they're more than likely going to die. Past that, for Astralis, they're going to be holding onto the main floor here. DP Fire inside of Showers, with Shuttle currently inside of Cafe.
Spirits continuing to move his way forward on the Nook, and oh no! The unscope is the death of him here. I'm not sure what happened for Spirits, but he's going to be found out, and DP Fire will be gifted an opening kill for these guys. However, DP Fire still in a little bit of an awkward situation here. You can see the Tracers racing past his head. He has to get himself out of dodge, and thankfully, he's given the rotates to do so. And as well, a hatch will be opened back down through the basement. DP Fire can now renegotiate his position either through back main stairs or somewhere else, to get him back into the site.
Given so many different avenues to potentially get in behind XSET, and XSET obviously will finally grasp a hold of Shower like they were looking for originally, but now they don't have the ability to try and go silently up any stairwell or through any camera, so they're lacking the Nook. But past that, looking for their pick if they can potentially get one to equalize here. We're about halfway through the round as Kino will continue to apply Rotero drones to the actual site and get rid of some utility. Gomez has found a beautiful spot here at the top of White. There's not a single piece of utility around here either. He's just going to get a free kill onto Forrest, who steps too close to the sun.
DP Fire continuing to position himself here at the stairs and waste out the time from XSET so far, doing a fantastic job of that, even with the loss of Forrest from a few moments ago. Forrest going to be a pretty big utility loss in the long run here, as that's probably all three of the Toxic Babes going along with him, as well as anything else he might have still been carrying in his pocket. Shuttle, the next to fall here, but the response will start to come in. It lasts a very short amount, though. DP Fire only can go 1 for 1, so just like that, Astralis, with a booming start to this round, have lost their edge and are now behind in a 2 versus 3. Jane, I know, trying to throw out that Nitro, but no one's even there, no one to respond to. Now, we're going to begin to see the members of XSET creep up onto the White stairs here. And Iconic also will watch for the potential hop in through the big window. This drone presence should find out the position of at least Iconic. Jane, I know, might be a little bit trickier to figure out, but no longer with that drone being shot out.
Hey, 30 seconds remain, XSET. What's the move? It's a 3v2. J90 barreling down on top of White Stairs. Knows someone's more than likely going to be on Big Window as well. Doesn't have the Nitro Cell to respond though. Gomez will step in, but he's stunned by his teammate and dusted by J90. Diaz will fight back though. They more than likely know the position of J90. Now the stun will go out. The challenge through. Tries to swing back into it. The plant has to go down as well. Knows one's around. Wipe it. Oh,
the timing.
Looks away at just the wrong time. XSET able to fire back after losing their Nook.
A bit of a rocky start there with the misstep inside of the initial Nook play, but they get themselves back onto good footing very quickly. The actual downstairs is clear where we see 2 to 3 players committing themselves to it, and the follow-up into the dorm site itself was nearly flawless in its execution from XSET, so beautifully done. A couple exchanges needing to go off here and there because, yeah, members of Astralis are in hard bunker position. It's almost inevitable you're going to lose a player or two inside of those types of fights, but still, they maintain relatively good control over it, even when they are trying to go for the plant. Beautifully done by XSET, and now they take the lead off the start of the map.
I'm still trying to get my head wrapped around what happened on White Stairs and why that was allowed in the first place. Literally zero utility around there, maybe some barbed wire downstairs at the bottom of it, but they had no idea that big Gomez is just sitting upstairs and holding all of the crosses on site. They're still walking around seemingly unaware of the positioning, and then past that, Astralis really can never recover. There's too much damage happening to them, and past that, I mean, Astralis' site setup got decimated from XSET. It just comes down to J90 after XSET simply have the man advantage. It's really hard to come back from that when they can simply throw bodies at you time and time again.
We're going to see a few switch-ups here, kind of going back to the original formula that had been originally selected on round 1 for XSET, and this is because now, again, expecting another play upstairs, a repeat of the second floor hold, but instead they've gone back down to the basement, which I think is where XSET was expecting to play this originally. So, we've got the members of Astralis getting ready to fend off this initial clear, and actually quite aggressively, too. We can see Forrest maintaining position in the garage, and he's not the only one that stepped out. Look at the silhouettes all across the map right now. Astralis want to play, and they're definitely going to be given a chance to.
I can almost guarantee you the conversation was, how much you want to bet they don't think I do this on land? Just goes and stands inside a garage. He's like, oh, well, they won't find me. He's prone behind the sandbag.
He's
a menace to society. Fortunately enough, he'll be able to crawl back down the stairwell if he so chooses. But fortunately enough for him, there's quite a few Astralis members that are bugging XSET at the moment, so he's not even the highest on the list. Still keeping an eye on his location. Spirits will begin to move in. 1E, 1D out from the Lion of DS, but they'll just force an Astralis member back down Freezer.
Spirits continuing to wait for an opportunity to run into a wandering member of Astralis, possibly retreating back through the hallway, heading downstairs, but no dice this early on here. Spirits will have to continue that adventure a bit closer to the freezer stairs. All those hard lock positions now cleared out, and XSET will have the freedom to begin rotating down, but obviously there's a wrinkle they still yet to deal with that you guys can probably see right now. Over on the left side of your screen, we have that classroom position maintained by Forrest. He does not necessarily want to give himself away. Shuttle, a little upset he got shot there. Tries to throw a few shots back, but obviously the member of XSET that threw them out is long gone. Forrest, here's a chance. They don't have no idea that he's here. A free pickup, but he seemed to have no idea that Gomez would be ready for the response right around the corner, so it's a quick 1-for-1. Neither team takes a huge advantage from that fight, but Shuttle is going to be a little lower now due to having falling back.
DP Fire, he's moving in through attic at the moment. Have a couple of people over on the other end, but nobody home for XSET's sake. So going to be safe haven for them at the time. DP Fire will continue to play out attic as the members of XSET currently downstairs inside of Mania. DP Fire could spoil this situation quite quickly, actually, if he goes for the attic hatch here and just punches it open with Aruni's arm, but that'd also be quite risky as well, just given the audio cue. He'd much rather stick upstairs and see if he can potentially get a rotation down Armory as he skippers around that area. Yaga still holding onto the hatch, but DP Fire's been discovered, and that's the big issue with sometimes going for those rotations, is you don't know what the info game looks like on the backside of the setup.
Gomez out surging himself forward. Thinks he has the edge to push himself down the stairs here, but there's not going to be a whole lot to look at when he peeks on the other side of it. Just a bunch of very intense angles that Astralis have set up against him here, such as what you're seeing right now from Shuttle. Shuttle missing the hatch drop, but unscoping for just a second, but immediately snapshots back onto Yaga to stop him from going any further than E here. More players wrapping in, but he's running out of time. Diaz will be able to take him down. It's just Iconic at very low HP and DP Fire, but they miss Iconic. However, he oversteps, runs himself too far out into E. There's no time remaining here. DP Fire is the last man standing. He just needs to deny the plant. However, as we've reached the null timer, takes out the support for no. I correct myself. Doesn't even get that far. Diaz ends the round outright for XSET as they continue to surge forward. Now 2-0.
This is looking really solid from XSET, but we said the same thing on Border, and that's going to Astralis. Taking it to the sky and forces into overtime before XSET finally settled in. But as of right now, XSET's adaptations are what's getting them through this. Astralis, they just simply cannot circumnavigate anything that they're doing. The constant pressure is getting them so many kills, and really Astralis have these moments of brilliance, but they're just not doing enough with them. That's the biggest thing for us, especially inside a classroom. If that goes on continually, there's a big chance that he gets 2 instead of just the 1. It's just very unfortunate there that broke down in the circumstances that it did.
So Astralis struggling to pace these fights out and more importantly close them down in a way where they can maintain control over the site. Their initial 2 picks do not go their way, and they don't feel it's worth retrying either one of them. They need to do the full site rotation so that if this one goes bad on the first floor hold as well, then they can call for a pause and call out, give input on all 3 site plays and what needs to change on each and every one when they go for the second go-around on the later 3 rounds of the half.
I do not believe that we need to remind any of you, but I will anyways. If XSET ends up taking Oregon here, there are no extra lives for Astralis. We have no lower bracket at this major. You have 1 life and 1 life only. You choose what you want to do with it. Astralis, worse for wear, obviously, because of that. They have to win not only this map, but also take Skyscraper in order to knock XSET out of the tournament.
And I think that this sets up a potentially very interesting storyline if XSET does end up closing down on this map and moving themselves forward here. And that's, of course, 2 of the members of this team. Okay, we'll come back to this in a moment. Kino getting himself hit pretty early on with a Nitro cell, bringing him low, but thankfully Gomez able to assist here with the surge to bring him back up. Gomez hops directly to the inside. He knew he had pressure behind him too, so just tries to force it forward. Nearly loses himself inside of this scenario too. It'll be a claustrophobic hold with this from Forrest. He'll walk right out. Y'all guys no idea, but at the same time, man, these teams are so close to each other. Iconic. He'll jump into the fray as well, but Kino bounces right back. Gives his teammate a 1-up there for that health boost a few moments ago, and now trades out the player that killed him.
Screw the objective. This is a death match in between these two, as there's shots sent constantly inside of the first minute. It's going to end up with a 3 versus 3. A lot of time in order to digest this for both teams. Still some setup here for Astralis inside of Shower as well. I believe a member will be droned out here, and actually it's going to be the Ash, but instead it's Diaz as DB Fire tries to hop out a window. He's going to get a freebie gifted to him.
Spirits now waiting for the next peak to potentially come up from member of Astralis. They know they've got at least 1 cooking around the security area back there, so they'll just wait to see if they'll go for the peak in the kitchen. Obviously wouldn't be very smart at this point in the round for Astralis, but to some extent, they will not have a choice. J9O holds the back end of the kitchen hold here too, waiting, just patiently waiting for XSET to swing themselves into the site. For XSET, they have so much time to play into as well, already bringing this down to a 3v2 with a little over up until this point. Of course, a minute to go. It's giving them a lot of extra free time, as you're seeing now, to send Kino upstairs, check the top down, see if maybe they can get lucky and bring this down to a 3v1.
Oh
okay,
my God!
Never mind. It's just a route to hop himself through at a catch. He goes directly in, deletes J9O, and leaves a very lonely shuttle to clutch.
So unfortunate for Astralis at the moment. They cannot answer with anything. Call out. I mean, I'm assuming the tax coming in at this moment. It's a 3-0.
Yep,
depends on what they're doing. I
the
saw the T-hand right there. Call out having very similar feelings to you and I here on the casting desk. As something has to be said. This is just too strong of a front from XSET at the current moment. Astralis cannot fend them off in any form of themselves. That last round, they get more aggressive in the early round, knock it down to the 3 versus 3, but XSET is still so strong on the offensive side, they can't get the round.
For the Astralis roster, just like I was saying at the beginning of the 3rd round, Callout wanted to see how all 3 of these sites would play before calling the attack. Now he's seen it, he knows what's wrong in the first 3 plays, so he can make the correction. So members of Astralis are going to be getting ready to rerun that into the basement here. Astralis so close now to elimination after losing all 3 of these rounds. 4 to go for XSET, and they will lock in the end of the road for Astralis here. This is such a night and day difference as well from their performance inside of the group stage, nearly crushing their way through that, all except for really one matchup that they played towards the bitter end of it there where things didn't go their way. It seemed like they had full control of nearly every single game they were going into. However, now playing another team that seems to know them very well on the inside of their region, things are looking a little bit different, and it may be be XSET that steals away that semifinal position.
It has always seemed like these two have been a match made in heaven whenever it comes to a game between them. They play so very strong up against each other's play style, and their understanding of the opponent is truly commendable. And you can definitely see that inside of what XSET has been able to accomplish thus far. Astralis, at least inside of the NAL, won their matchups against XSET, but where it matters most, here at the Charlotte Major, there's a huge chance that they lose this 2-0.
And there's another important thing that's changed since the groups, though, that could be affecting Astralis a little bit. That's the best of 3 nature of things here. There's not a lot of experience necessarily for XSET or Astralis in that department, outside of things that may have occurred inside of the NAL. And for that, you're talking mainly about like the finals and whatnot, where you finally play into that. These teams have not necessarily been able to come to these types of international events where you play inside of a best of 3 format. So that could be tripping them up a little bit here as well, having to expend the map pull out a little bit further. Not only that, too, but having to play for a much longer continuous period of time that could be getting to our defensive roster right now.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about Astralis previously, Disrupt, that really couldn't get anything done inside of the NAL, and then XSET, who dropped their entire roster to pick up a new one because they just simply couldn't get things going with their last roster. And now finally both of them have found success in their different ways. XSET, a team full of friends, as they like to say. And as for Astralis, it's more a pickup of Forest and Callout that have helped them quite a lot, but obviously the other players along the ride have been quite strong, including this man right here, DP Fire. This is a beautiful pinch from Astralis. They'll take down Spirits.
Great time-wasting mechanism upstairs, holding this attic control as well. They bring it back, they bait Spirits into a play on the Jackal, and he gets strapped up, taken down. 0 damage pretty much to respond to it. You can see just a tiny sliver of it going on to Iconic, but there's really nothing to write home about here. Astralis has the edge, and now possibility to push it even further, as oh no, Gomez gonna walk right into the den of Shuttle, who's more than ready for that challenge. It's Astralis leading now, heavy-handedly at a 5v3.
Absolutely. XSET seemingly this round getting away from them. Lots of solo play, a solo push into Attic, a solo push into Freezer. When you know it, 2 XSET members dead. Now it's looking like they might just potentially go for a construction push here. At least they initially were thinking that. But DS was like, hey, it'd probably be a good idea if we picked up that case. So they're going to go over and change that over to his hands. That way the other XSET member, I do believe it's going to be DS, or actually, excuse me, it's going to be Kino, rotating to the other end of the site. It's going to be a quick burst. They're going to be sorely surprised the Banshee will be in, and the shotgun will get it done. It's actually the SMG-11, but Forrest. Forrest, that's your teammate there, my friend. He's going to end up killing him and just buries him. Just shut the door of the coffin, put that dirt back on top. No one's talking about it. Not that big of a deal. Oh my God, how does that even happen? Kino kills Iconic. He's still alive. DP Fire will take down the last 2 after that absolute clown fiesta. I don't even know what just happened in the last couple of seconds.
Yeah, a little strange the way the
It was like kangaroo court.
But it plays into the favor of Astralis at the end of the day. They still maintain the control, and finally, as well, more importantly, you could mention, they do maintain control over an initial round. So they'll pick that up, start to turn around this score line, and see if they can maybe go the full distance here. If they can run all 3 of these back, we will be tied yet again, 3-3 at halftime. And it's same rotation for these guys as well. They go right back upstairs into their kids' hold, and see if this one will yield results as well.
Astralis, a sigh of relief after round 4, being able to pick up that round off of XSET. The early round for Astralis, but doing extremely well with 2 free picks practically gifted to them in a certain sense. The Jackal getting baited into a play upstairs in Attic, but also Gomez just feeling as though he can just take control of Freezer by himself. He's immediately punished for it by Shuttle. Past that, a little weird back and forth in between the two, but they complete their dance, and Astralis end up claiming that round. And now for them, they're headed back up towards kids' dorms to see what they can accomplish here.
So a few repicks going to come out as well, mainly just to add a bit more utility. But for Spirits, it's to get aggressive here, mainly because you have the Ash locked in. So a pretty low expectation we were going to keep that anyway. So the switch to the Nook is somewhat expected for him. Kino's, though, is a bit more interesting as he does re-add the Flores into the attacking lineup to deal with that on-site presence.
Ash is so nerfed at this point. We don't even have a cosplayer of Ash here at this event. Just nobody using Ash anymore, apparently. We actually did see her on a Skyscraper a little bit earlier on, but her pick rate was practically dropped off a cliff since those adjustments were made to her rifles. But now for Astralis, definitely aware that XSET want to try and work their way in from small tower. Spirits, though, he has a different set of plans. He's going to start things off downstairs, which Iconic, depending on his decision here at the bottom of the stairwell, could run into him, but he's not going to. He's going to instead go towards Kitchen, but he could double back when he's off screen.
Spirits will creep his way through the basement, and Kino will try to lock down one of these players, extend it out towards the first floor lockers position as well as the kitchen, but won't be able to find either of them just yet. They could be changing relatively soon as Spirits has made the wrap over towards the bottom of Freezer Stairs, but instead it's going to be DP Fire to strike true again here at the beginning of the round, finding Gomez, probably one of the most impactful operators you could knock out on the attacking side too. Finka gone and removed. Both of her nades still in pocket, as well as all three of those adrenal surges now wasted for XSET.
No longer having extra health, this now complicates things for XSET. These engagements mean as much as they always have, but if they take extra damage, they're not going to be able to heal up or do anything of the sort any longer. Spirit's still trying to find something with this freezer push that he had, but it's really not doing too much. He can't go any farther forward, so he'll do something else soon enough. Kano, though, will start breaking up the window. Has one to worry about inside of Bones of Spirits. Finally trying to find his mark, but it's DP Fire to strike first.
Tries to go for another one, but Yarga gets arguably just as impressive a shot we saw from DP a few seconds prior. The nade follow-up is too strong as well to take down Shuttle. Forrest, however, ready for this, but is he ready for the nade to be thrown? Oh, it's thrown just a little bit too far, but there's a follow-up still to come from Yarga. Will this one get him? Yes, it will! Forrest goes down, XSET take the lead again, but now they need to carry it forward here. They need to transition up to the top floor here and take out both Iconic and J9O. Those are Terror drones starting to flood in, opening up more and more territory. That one specifically will be denied here, but now they know of Iconic's position. They know how to flush him out, and more importantly, they're gonna know that at least at the current moment, up until this point, he didn't really have a whole lot of support. J9O has now added himself to the fray, though, so that has changed up, but at the same time, XSET beginning to pinch. They're going to send a player over towards the front laundry stairs to add a whole other angle to this play here. Thankfully, J9O will be keeping an eye on that. But as well, XSET, you're running out of time. You need to force this forward here. You've got plenty of intel from the drones. You need to commit yourselves to this. And as they move in, Iconic and J9O are both ready for the challenge as Iconic takes two. J9O gets one, and Astralis hold on to pick up another round.
3-2, Astralis do it off the back of a lot of valiant efforts across the board, but still XSET able to maintain their man advantage, but it's all for naught at the end of the day. The clutch happens for Astralis as they gun down every single XSET member as they attempt to come through White Stairs.
So no true leader emerging out of this half just yet here. XSET can get it done with one final round, but that's all they're going to have here as Astralis complete the wrap one more time and head back down into their kitchen hold also. This is also going to be a bit of a change-up too, as they did play into the meeting room site the last time they went for their first floor hold. Now they're going to go for the cafeteria and see if this slightly smaller site is going to work out in their favor. Also has a little bit more of direct vertical play into it, as we'll see them extend up once again into the kids' dorms.
Yeah, we see this site taken care of quite a few different ways by the offense. You can go small tower, you can take top floor, you can go big tower, and all of them have different implications. Big tower obviously is where we usually see stage plant. A lot of the times when they take top control, they'll usually try and go for a plant inside of kitchen, but that doesn't happen too often. When it comes to this site setup, usually you see the small tower take into a cafeteria plant instead, but then you have to try and vie for shower control, and you can just see the amount of utility Astralis has around this area.
So let's see if that utility will be enough to fend off XSET one more time and even us up, running the gauntlet for Astralis, the same 3 rounds that XSET found at the beginning of this game, or if they can finally hit the ground running here and lock in that lead, we're going to do so as well. A few more change-ups coming in. Gomez once more going to reseat himself onto the Nook, see if he can get himself more access to this building a bit more prematurely through the basement or another avenue to catch one of the members of Astralis with their pants down. As we can see though, for Forrest, he's patiently waiting to see if there's going to be any initial clear from XSET to the inside of Arsenal, and there nearly was. Forrest counting his lucky stars. The aim was off from our XSET player on Rappel. He doesn't want to test this any further. It's time to fall back and play for the top extension delay.
Well, no longer Spirits on Nook. This time around it'll be Gomez. He'll attempt to ascend upstairs momentarily, starting things off in the basement yet again. But as for the rest of the XSET roster, they're trying to work their way in from Armory across. Yago will currently be in here, but he's got a couple players on some different levels. Kino will actually be up inside of Trophy, trying to drone things out inside of dorms. They have one to worry about on White Stairs, but also the Mira of Forest is actually inside of the dorms area right now. Shuttle's actually going to be the first one to fall. Exactly know where that happened, but oh, it's actually on the big tower stairs. So XSET now having control of that. Soft panel upstairs here, as they'll be able to transition through this into games. Have a nice cross now, and plenty of time to be able to work out this situation. Looking for the swing, but ill-advised from Forrest as he's gunned down handedly by Kino.
So most of the extended presence, with the exception of DP Fire, has now been taken care of. DP Fire, possibly unknown still inside of this one, obviously does have the Drone Jammer to play with, but at the same time, the members of XSET can still physically see him. They will note him out. DP Fire will fall back, but he's somewhat trapped here. As you guys can see, there's presence inside of the bus outside from XSET. It's going to be able to find him out. It's no longer a safe harbor here. However, still, DP Fire eventually inside of the chaos is able to get away from it and get himself over towards the small tower door.
Oh, DP Fire scared off from the drone that was at his feet, and more than likely the smart choice, but XSET, they're just so strong right now. DP Fire's ran into some complications as well. He's starting to take so much damage, gonna impact open shower window, but past that, it's J90 to try and shut this down. Some serious damage dealt to him. Might be able to at least tap off Gomez and finds him. Has the pistol out, but finally gunned down. It's all left up to DP Fire, but oh no, XSET will take it to Astralis yet again and make it a 4-2 half.
Yeah, the initial clear just too strong from XSET there, and Astralis having to double, if not triple down on their extension to the upstairs, as unfortunately if they lost control of that, they would not have had a snowball's chance in heck of fending off any pressure onto the actual site. So it's XSET to take the lead at 4-2. 3 more rounds will separate them from a matchup with Destiny here. They'll be going up against Oxygen in the semifinals.
We have everybody rooting for XSET at least on this side of the crowd that I can see, all the way down to like Tomas and Marmalade. I'm seeing everybody rooting on this side right now. We got XSET fans with signs and everything. So many excited people at the moment. But now, speaking of XSET, they're going to be switching sides as we said. And wouldn't you know, they're going to be starting things off in basement. A big shocker.
So once again, just to bring this up, tried to do so before, but I got a little bit of time in prep phase, going to sneak it in now. The storyline for XSET, if they do move forward, is going to be focusing on Yaga and Kino, as obviously, up until just a few months back, they were members of the Oxygen roster. Seem to have left quite suddenly as well, so I'm sure that Oxygen's going to want a little revenge for that here in a major.
It was a bad breakup. It was a bad breakup for sure. You know, it was one of those ones where you kind of text him a month later. You don't really want to talk to him in the moment, but past that, though, I'd say they've done a very good job for themselves. When they initially left Oxygen and came to their own team, I didn't know exactly what was going to happen with these players. You know, not saying that Diaz and everybody else are, you know, bad or anything like that. They've always been incredible, but you never know what's going to happen when it comes to new talent. And J90, speaking of which, will shut down Yogg as one of the duo that switched over is taken out.
Fairly heavy cost to his own HP, but Iconic was just on drone, so he is going to use the Adrenal Surge to bring him back up to pretty close to full. Might use the second one on it. Probably going to want to pocket the third one, though, so J90 will have to suffice around 50% for the foreseeable future inside of this round. As well, you can see more members of Astralis trying to move forward, but oh no, DP Fire, he's been found out. Shuttle, quick to exchange it for Astralis, though, keeps things under control as he takes down Diaz and prevents that chaos from going any further here, except high, but only by 1 player, so this is still manageable.
Spirits with high flying play. He'll be able to take down DP Fire and at least remove the EE1Ds, but they've lost man advantage in the same breath. So now all of them dedicated to their site setup, except for Gomez, who's trying to sneak out right now. Astralis misstep inside of lobby. This could be a free frag for him, but chooses to back off instead. They're really trying to work and see if they can potentially deal any damage to Astralis before they're able to get in and around the site. They want to kill them right at that entry point before this happens.
Forrest going to continue to wait for the all-clear signal to be made as he transitions down to a first-floor hold here, and Kino as well, still in a very, very powerful position to play from if he goes unnoticed. That's the big kicker, though, is whether they're going to be able to spot him out properly or not, and Gomez to some extent, too, taking a slight duel here against the hatch going up into meeting room. A fairly short one, as neither player will be able to maintain that position for too long here. We'll enter the final minute of play, still with Astralis in charge here, but Kino, oh, free ping against Iconic, so much damage, but he's not able to get the confirmation, and as well, they know that he was trying to play that aggressively. Oh, this is gonna get so dangerous for Kino. He's been spotted out from the hatch, and he's lost another teammate. The nade inching closer towards him, he tries to rush past the second one, but no, Iconic will shut him down outright. Gomez is all that's left. He's got the world rushing himself into his corner of the map right now, and he just may not be able to hold on to this one, but despite that, fends off at least the first challenger. J90 goes goes down. He's got another one waiting for him here in Freezer. That's a lot of damage going back onto Iconic and Forest here. Both of them just a single bullet away from going down. They'll play it smart, though. Back away from that one. Look at these pings, however. Foot shots coming in from Gomez. Bring Shuttle into a down state. He's just one bullet away on both the remaining players from clutching it, but he oversteps, gives the shot to Iconic, and instead it goes to Astralis.
Unfortunately, I don't think he saw that other yellow ping through the wall. They had another one on the player that was prone on top of the case. And if you guys saw, you could see Habana's knee right there next to the door, but unfortunately just oversteps a little bit. And well, Finka be able to claim that. And now Astralis inch one step closer to tying things up with XSET yet again, but this time on Oregon.
So it is back into the basement for XSET since things were so close. They feel that a retry is warranted. This will be a departure from the strategy from Astralis, where they wanted to rotate around all three due to the input their coach would provide. XSET, for obvious reasons, do not have to worry about that. So they are going to lock themselves back into it one more time since Kino is so close. But I'll be honest with you, this is kind of surprising because everything leading up to the moment from Kino was fairly from our clutching player on XSET was fairly one-sided there at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely the case. But past that, though, XSET, they feel as though this defensive setup downstairs can work, and they're going to, well, at least go for the trial by fire. A second time around, see if any of these little adjustments can possibly assist them. Yaga will be on the MPX with the Valk Cam, so maybe some extra influence in the info game could help. Gomez will be back onto the alibi. Came so very close to clutching that, but just was not in the cards.
I thought the first move we would see made by XSET on a retry here too would be to go a little bit more conservative with their positioning here. Maybe try to hold back a little bit, not commit so much to the extension, but it seems as though they almost are doubling down on it, specifically with Gomez's operator selection. So really, really trying to get in the way of Astralis from the very beginning of this round and prevent them from getting any serious map control that they can use to springboard into an execute on the site. We'll see how this plays out, as in the last round, Astralis had no problem clearing out this early extended pressure.
Absolutely. So now for Gomez, he'll be playing around kitchen and security for a time. Some of his clones still is throw his last one down. A couple of XSET members will be playing inside of Freezer, usually a strong spot to play with your SAS shotgun, and that's exactly what we're going to see. Past that, though, a lot of site presence here for XSET. Don't want to give Astralis too many frags up front, and they're now forced to clear out a decent margin of this map. It also seems like we've lost Gomez as well. I don't believe he's around the kitchen space any longer. No, he's in fact dropped back down into Freezer. So now all of the mid-floor as well as the top floor is Astralis is going to take it.
Astralis continue to take more and more away from the XSET roster here. And XSET, due to what occurred in the previous round, play this smart. Do not try to directly challenge it, as Astralis seems to be far too prepared for any crazy swings we may get from the staircases. Trying to be a little bit more unpredictable with it. Kino, he's going to be out. They should know he's here from the red dot, but no. It's going to be Kino to get a clean kill against J9O. He'll escape into the basement with these nades. They're going to be too close for comfort. That one's uncooked. He nearly has an opportunity to get a second player, and he gets some. Confirms it before going down as well there with that last pump from the shotgun. However, both of his kills have already been exchanged back out. Down into a 3v3 we go. Iconic as he creeps forward. Oh, he gets the kill regardless. I had no idea Gomez was there, but still takes him down, leaving it down to Diaz as well as Yaga to clutch this one out. Yaga ready for the challenge on backstairs, but he'll be down. Forrest to win that fight out. Leave Diaz alone in the 1v3 here. He's got a bunker to play from, and even more importantly, he's got a minute to clutch it out. But that timer, it's going to start ticking in the other direction relatively soon as Forrest, he's got the plant going down.
Well, now Diaz, so many challenges he has to take, so many bodies that he has to try and fend off. Forrest is the first one, low health on DP Fire, but Iconic, King Iconic, can you clutch this up if DP Fire fails? He's going to back off and move up the tower stairwell. It's up to Iconic on site to try and secure this. DP Fire with the overwatch. Iconic will play this close, but his barrel's been found. So much damage. It's DP Fire to shut it down. Astralis tie things up.
DP Fire, nicely played there, getting himself out of dodge in a tough scenario, rotating himself back up through those stairs, and re-maintaining his position on the top down there to ensure that even if his teammate had fallen on the construction play, he still would have been able to knock him down from the hatch play, and in a worst case too, had he had gotten himself onto the counter defuse, still would have been able to drop back in from the hatch and have his opponent's back directly in front of him. Beautifully executed by Astralis, and now they're going to be able to tie the game up again here. They've brought it back from the bitter brink of destruction. Now sit at a 4-4 scoreline.
maybe the crowd didn't know, but I feel like you and I were on the same page when it came to, yeah, Astralis is probably going to pull this back and tie things up. It just feels like these two teams cannot exist on the same map without having a very similar scoreline. So after Astralis are able to pull off that feed and finally get it all the way back, can XSET find success on this defense? It's been hard fought, and they simply can't get it to go.
So for XSET, looking to finally hit the ground running on this defensive half. They've been unable to find it so far. Going to once again go for a first floor hole here, as we were seeing Astralis do in the previous half. They will choose to go for the meeting room play, an extension up towards that. And it'll be interesting too because of DP Fire's operator selection. Normally we see this operator brought for basement attacks, but the Ying this time around is going to be used to try and take meeting room control. Very interested to see how this plays out for DP Fire and the rest of Astralis as they get closer to the site later in this round.
Yes, indeed. Switching off of the Lion, didn't want to try and hold on to XSET with those EU1Ds. Instead, went for the site execution. Window opening up soon, and everyone really aware of this angle nowadays. And as soon as I say that, Spirits will get gunned down. I thought they heard the window break. Usually when that happens, somebody is indeed on that rappel. We see it all the time nowadays.
Spirits just like moonwalking or something.
Yeah, I mean, Thriller
just backs right up into it.
Yeah, Thriller came on, man. You know, you gotta dance when you hear Michael Jackson. This is how it works.
So that's a smooth start to the round for Astralis, but how do they move it forward from this point here? Once again, that's been the big issue for them, is making sure that consistency sticks, and more importantly, they can maintain presence. XSET are a wild team. They want to jump out. They want to get in your face here. So Astralis has to account for every possibility, like that one, before they commit themselves to anything too extreme. Forest has gone down. The case has been knocked onto the ground as well. Thankfully, there are other members from Astralis nearby, so they should be able to retrieve that. We're going to see that happening right now, looking like we get J9O on the case to pick it back up for our attackers, and they're going to continue to flood into the site from it. However, Gomez, ready. He takes down a second challenger, could very well get himself a third as well, as he still maintains control of the inner billiards play.
J9O is going to wrap towards the top of the main stairs, right under the default cam here, looking to try and expose anyone that's playing around trophy still. This is going to be really up to timing right now, everybody. J9O, he has an opportunity to try and close this out for Astralis. He sees the barrel. He'll be able to at least get Gomez. Is he ready for the other fight, though? Enough bullets inside of this LMG to kill an elephant. He'll keep sending it at everyone that tries to peek. Astralis not able to really get it over inside of the man advantage, but they've been able to at least equalize here, and that's what matters most going into this last minute.
Even better for Astralis, they've got vertical control now, so they can really lock on these members of XSET and prevent them from playing into comfortable corners, as they've now descended further into the first floor, where they have no choice but to lock themselves in and get ready for the swing from the members of Astralis here. You can see them try and open up more real estate for themselves. They will more than likely be playing it towards the kitchen if their current formation is any indication of that, but still need to get themselves into it. Haven't found the outright confidence to go for it just yet, but they're getting close. You can see those candelas being prepared, charging them up. The smoke's going to block off access to the cafeteria, as they unfortunately don't know if a member of XSET has rotated over there in the meanwhile as well. Kino going to be trying to stop this. Thankfully, he's got a wall in the way, so he's able to get out of the vision path of those candelas, but peeks just a little bit too prematurely. Has to back away, has to respect the entry. Yaga, though, will get an important kill and drop the case. We're still in game, guys. We're going to cast this. There's 7 seconds left. It's a 1v2. XSET has control of it here, but with the case down on the ground, Kino is going to be able to get one final shotgun pump to pick up the last player, and XSET will win that round. Apologies for the drop out of game, folks, but that did finish, so that's going to stick.
No worries about that. Is a 5-4 in favor of XSET after they take down 2 of the Astralis members. The last one is forced to try and run into sight. The shotgun just too strong. Inside of the CQC situation, XSET able to get it done. And fortunately enough, we got it back on your guys' screen, so we'll more than likely be resuming momentarily. So we just clear and make sure that everything is A-okay. Kids Dorm seems to be the site as of right now for XSET, and seemingly want to try and bring Aruni versus Valkyrie. They're actually going to replay the last little bit of the round here for you guys, so we won't have to cast it, I guess, unless we really want to. I mean, how there we go. Okay, I didn't know how late we were going here. I was like, well, if it's 1:15, I mean, we gotcha, but
ultimately, they're XSET once again, and just having too much control. Even though it was the even 3v3 in Astralis, like we mentioned, had the vertical control, just not enough of time, more than anything, at the end of the day to figure out where the members of XSET, more importantly, had fallen back to when they went down onto their first floor hold, and then properly execute into it. That's on top of having like Ying access as well there, so unfortunate for Astralis. It seemed like they had what they needed to build into it, but the strength from Kino, just a bit too much to bear here, as he fends it off and shuts down so many players with the M590 in that round, giving XSET the lead at 5-4.
Yeah, that just shows you how much positioning matters in this game, especially when it comes to info on those positions. Astralis not really aware of where XSET are trying to hold things down, and it's just too hard for them to try and challenge into that. Practically blind, even though they really weren't. So let's give this a few moments here, folks, and we'll be back into the game momentarily. Get these guys a little bit of a break during this tech pause.
Yep, should just be a second, guys. We remake the lobby real quick, but it is once again XSET in control. Astralis, they need to find a boost. They need to find the courage to move forward here as they are up against the wall, up against potential elimination against a team that they thought they would be able to take down after such a solidifying group run, an encouraging one to maybe give them the confidence they needed to win this, but seems like that may have not been the case. XSET came in with fury and brimstone into this matchup, it seems, especially for Kino, and they want to shut this down. They want to get that grudge match versus OXG and a chance to prove that this roster can not only make impact on the North American stage, but on the global stage too, as they get ever closer to a title at their first ever international event.
Yeah, here in Charlotte, North Carolina, it seems to be NA's world, and we're just living in it. We're down to the very bottom of the barrel when it comes to the remaining, teams here. BDS not able to get things done earlier today, and it's all down to a bunch of Americans in Liquid.
That is going to be the case, so we'll have to see how those matchups will go. The first one for tomorrow already prepared, as Stokes was just mentioning there, between DarkZero and Team Liquid, so we'll see who tops out that one. That could confirm already another North American team heading their way to the final. But in our second matchup of the day, it'll be Oxygen versus the winner of this game, where for sure one of the teams moving through is going to represent NA as they try to lift the trophy one final time here at the Major.
Yes, indeed. This more or less feeling like an NA derby, but that next game especially, that is going to be quite crazy, no matter if we have Astralis or XSET up against Oxygen. And like you were saying, we also still have DarkZero versus Team Liquid. I would love to see Canadian playing up against the likes of Palu and Nesk. It's going to be such an amazing semifinals, day 2 of main stage, but we got to get through this first. And fortunately enough, folks, you guys have waited long enough. I hope you're not away on a bathroom break, because if you are, you better run back to your seats. Astralis versus XSET starts momentarily. Just let us make sure everything works before we throw it up on your screen.
So stand by for just a second, folks. Obviously, giving the players a moment to calm down, and this will be a bit of a double-edged sword at the end of the day. XSET obviously will kind of flourish inside of this one. They've got the edge now. They've been able to push ahead, so they'll get a moment to calm down, remove the jitters from themselves a bit here after finding that victory. But for Astralis, the kind of thinking internally could be getting to them to some extent here if they're overthinking their play in this one. So these longer technical pauses could help as much as they could potentially hurt these teams here in terms of a mental state.
You see the Dokkaebi AR right there?
Yeah.
Little DMR poking it. Yeah! That is amazing cosplay. I love that. I love your hat, by the way. That is absolutely gorgeous. And we actually just got back into the game, guys, so we're checking to make sure that everything works. So just give us a moment here while our IT does some checking of the server. It's going to make sure everything's working, the bits, the IP. What's some other IT terms, John? I don't know.
MAC address.
MAC address.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's get
storage,
back into the game.
Hard drive, all right.
Cam. All right, taking a look at XSET as they lead 5-4. Once again, a very slight advantage in the long run here, as these teams have constantly teeter-tottered back and forth, seemingly ad infinitum throughout the course of this series. Seemed like it was really going to be XSET taking full control for those first 3 rounds, but again, Astralis surprised us with a run back of their own to make it a bit more competitive at 2-4, and then immediately tied us up at a 4-4 scoreline. XSET have now taken the lead away again, but can they keep it, or will these teams be going into a back-and-forth slap fight once more to try and push themselves towards a second overtime? XSET is the team looking to take control and looking to push themselves to the final, so they need to get this done at some point in the next few rounds.
Well, this could be quite interesting. Spirits is going to be off on his own little island inside of security. He's got the entire wall of kitchen reinforced here, and this is actually going to play into what Astralis are attempting to do. They do have the buck here, so we could see a huge play for kitchen so that they can skeleton key out from underneath a lot of the XSET members. But this is also known by the defense quite often. That is an option. So we usually see some verticality going into that. XSET is going to have this, as they'll have the hatch open above the kitchen door. So there's a lot of different layers to this, but what else would you expect from Rainbow Six?
See here now as Astralis continue to kind of investigate things for that first minute. Not actually going to take a step to the inside just yet. They know how wild XSET has been here, especially with those opening positions. They do not want to risk a challenge directly against them. Time to play this out for the intel game instead, and Varus will move to the top of white here. Let's see if he can sneak this drone in for play later on in the round, and he will be able to find a somewhat safe harbor to position it. Meanwhile here, Yaga seemed to have taken a small fight, probably somewhere near big window, and is going to find quite a bit of damage being taken against himself from that, losing about half of his HP and not able to return any back onto Astralis.
Unfortunate for him in that moment, but they've been able to slow down Astralis in this moment as well. A minute and 20 seconds, but as soon as I say that, they're hightailing it into sight, forced to take down one. They have to know somebody's inside of Attic, they will, but Yaga wins out the next fight. Shuttle to take down Diaz, the plant starting inside of Dorms. Yaga can't win his swing, and Astralis decimate XSET. No chance in hell that Spirits is able to find an angle that prevents that from happening. They know he's locked inside of here too. Might have to drop down the hatch, but the verticality from upstairs catches him instead. Astralis tied up yet again.
So it's very slow, at least until the execute comes in from Astralis, but boy does it work when they are finally ready to move themselves into the site.
Did you see Forrest?
No.
His descriptor was, guys, I just walked in like this, bang, 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 and I just killed everybody. I don't know how I did that, but it worked.
So anyways, I started blasting.
Yeah, exactly. Had some finger guns, apparently. It was able to kill every single XSET member with it. And now Astralis have tied things up yet again. XSET, though, they have access to the basement yet again as well. So they're going to jump back into here and see if they can potentially take a round off of Astralis before they are allowed to get to match point, which would force overtime if Astralis pick up the next round.
Straightforward lineup coming in from the XSET roster here. The important changeup is going to be Yaga going over towards Arcade. Haven't really seen a whole lot of wall denial operators inside of this game so far, and specifically for basement play. This is going to be an attempt to slow them down, and if we don't see Astralis switch over to an operator that can mitigate this, it's going to cause some problems, as he will more than likely block off areas like the E-hatch and prevent Astralis from having those top-down angles in a post-plant scenario that have won them at least one time this attack.
This is hugely problematic. We have access to Thatcher. We have access to Maverick.
Not
and
going
we're
for
still going to be locked in. There's 3 seconds remaining. That's when everything is done. The offense can no longer touch anything. So all of the hatches that Yaga locks up, they're dead in the water on those. There's nothing they're going to be able to do unless they get downstairs and nade it out through different means.
Even a Maverick would have been a good compromise to potentially still be able to get past those. Obviously, we'll have to kind of awkwardly dance around the electricity, but still nothing. And as you said, they will have no options to realistically open that back up unless they take direct control of the room below and shoot out the electric claws through that method, which at that point, you don't even really need the hatch open anyway, unless you're trying to set someone up for a post-plant. Spirits nearly lining up the stars on that headshot there, but just a little bit short. And as well, we had the outside wall blocking the way. But either way, Astralis nearly losing a player right off rip. This would not be the way they would have wanted this game to begin.
Doing such a solid job of identifying what's going on throughout the map before they hop to. You can see all these drones from Astralis gathering control, or rather gathering info of what the setup's like on the top floors. There's a lot of rotation holes and everything else going through different aspects of Oregon at the current moment, but obviously not a single XSET member there to actually abuse them either. It's all just kind of at a ghost setup. Astralis clears it out, and on good time, they'll drop into meeting, but Shuttle's going to be the first one to come into contact with this hatch, and is more than likely telling everybody that it's electrified, and now they need to try and switch up their game plan. Oh, they're able to get this one, though. Freezer hatch is going to actually be unelectrified, so now Kino going to have to deal with a decent amount of pressure, but they actually also have a mirror window here and a lot of other different things they can utilize to try and frag out any member that wants to step foot inside of Freezer.
It's going to be a pretty dirty angle from Gomez as well at the very end of the hallway. It does rely quite heavily on our defenders maintaining pillar pressure, however, so in the event they lose that, that shield position is also going to go right along with it. So we'll see if Iconic and the rest of Astralis are even ready for it. As we can see, Iconic has peeked into it now. The Gun 6 going to get eaten up by the first shot out there from the ADS. We'll follow up on a nade being thrown towards it just yet, but I can hear one rolling around. Seems like never mind, though. It does not end up making its impact, and now the ADS is back, so he'll continue to maintain safe presence here behind this deployable shield. It's actually tripped up Astralis to quite a hefty degree, as they were relying on that to be their initiation, it seems like, to some extent.
I mean, even when it comes down to operator lineups and pro teams, it makes things so difficult. Gomez with 2 huge kills. Forrest finally able to secure 1, but won't be able to find Spirits either as J90 bounces back and forth. There's so many rounds that he's firing. Spirits goes down. Is it 3 versus 3?
Toxic Babe going above the door here. Kino knows the pressure's going to come in through electrical relatively soon. Able to hide out the laser for now, so they won't have an idea that he's hiding out in this corner, but this could still be a position that attackers would expect to find him from. The Tracer's out in the hallway, have to be scaring him to some extent. Forest will hear the Toxic Babe begin to plume from the inside of the site. The shield, actually, no, it's going to be DP Fire dropping in. They have no idea. They've gone back to Freezer. The change-up from Astralis saving them in this round, but now Diaz has to try and do the same thing. He can't find the Freezer player. It's too tricky from DP Fire. Finally, Diaz locks it down, but he's missed the opportunity to deny the plant. More good damage going off on the Forest, however, so the round's not over just yet, but he's at such low HP. These crosses are oh so dangerous. He has to second guess every single peek he makes. Now, he'll commit himself towards it, gets himself all the way around. Still needs to commit to the inside of construction, though. Thought he was clear, but no. Forest finally goes back into the E-hatch, takes it down, and with that, secures another round for Astralis.
So unfortunate for XSET there. It seemed like they had the game plan, all of the hatches locked down, everything they necessarily need in order for that type of round to go off without a hitch, especially with Gomez's contribution, but they're not able to get too much past what we initially saw. Astralis, especially for Chain9O's sake, able to take it to the defensive setup, get that plant down, and then work it out inside of the post plant. Nothing really coming of the mirror play there, minus that initial frag, and now XSET, they're rethinking their game plan. They're going to head towards the mid-floor and take this towards medium.
Nothing else to fall back on at this point, as Astralis have come into this one with a booming start, rocketing their way back into a 4-4 scoreline, only dropping that one additional round from XSET. I believe on this very site, if memory serves me correctly. So we will have to see if a repeat of it will yield results from XSET and allow them to tie us up at 6-6, keeping the hopes alive to still close this down in 2-0 fashion. As if not, we're going to get ourselves ready to head over towards Skyscraper.
And if we do get to Skyscraper, I don't even know what happens between these two. We've never seen them play it against each other. Very little VOD to go off of as well, especially when it comes to actually playing at this major where it matters most. So, that being said, does Astralis send us off to Skyscraper here at maximum inside of regulation, or does it take OT to decide who wins Oregon?
Let's find out, as XSET will be able to spread their wings a little bit more, and it seems they're going to be doing so mainly on the vertical plane here. Astralis, to some extent, has caught on to this. As we can see Forrest just rocketing his way down the white hallway, since there is no resistance at the moment from the XSET side of things. Bit of a different take here on the initial play from Astralis, and they might be thinking about, once again, just brute forcing it, but that would not be a smart move with the amount of top downs that XSET have established against them. We did see Astralis successfully able to work their way past it on one previous round, but it was under very different circumstances. DP Fire really getting himself shot back out there as the bullets ring true, and at the same time the Candelas are going to ring out as well to force the players in Kidstorm back. Oh, what a shot from Shuttle! Just deletes Gomez. However, cannot contend for too much longer. Spirits goes down too, and oh, iconic! Cleaning up against not only Spirits, but he finds Yaga as well, and brings XSET already just a minute into the round down to 2 out of 5 members.
Such a long road ahead of XSET in order to keep themselves in it. Now Kino's gone as well. DS, a Herculean effort lies ahead in probably one of the best moments of his entire Rainbow Six Siege career if he's able to force us to overtime. He gets rid of the drone. They'll be playing around split for a time. Minute and 30 seconds remain for Astralis. So much time in order to clear a lot of this out and continue to add to this verticality. They'll drop down, and that's going to be easy said, easy done for Dave. Iconic as he steps up. Their first map on the main stage. The crowd is feeling it. We're going to Skyscraper.
Astralis down, but certainly not out. They stay in the fight inside of our second map on Oregon. And while it's a bit of a bleak beginning to it, they rebound beautifully in the later opener half and as well into our second half, where they're able to take control at the bitter end of regulation. It's a 7-5 victory for Astralis. Another